At this time, the court's going to go ahead and call Bell County Cause number 319,292-C. This is in the interest of Hardy minor child, non-custodial party being Precarious Hardy, custodial party being Mercedes Mayfield. And this matter is before the court on a petition to establish parent-child relationship. Court's taking judicial notice of the court file. Note for the record that Mr. Hardy was served with citation in Savannah, Georgia back in 2020. And that has obviously been back on file the correct amount of time. And after some delay, it shows that Ms. Mayfield was served with citation on the 15th day of October, 2022. Court's taking judicial notice of the court file. We'll note for the record. Let's see. Get a couple of resets. And the court did back on the 22nd day of this year, January 22nd of this year, the court did do an order ordering DNA paternity analysis in this matter. Anyway, at this time, I ask the state for an opening to tell the court what the state's requesting we do here today, whether or not the state's requesting this to be a temp or a final, and we'll take it from there. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor. The state is requesting a temporary order today. The state will offer into evidence a confirmation of non-collection showing the times that Mr. Hardy was set for DNA testing appointments. It's the state's understanding that his testimony will be that he moved from the Georgia location to Florida, and that's why he didn't get tested. It's the state's understanding that he's asking for an opportunity to be tested. Additionally, the state will offer into evidence the birth certificate of the child subject of the suit. That was provided to the state today, Your Honor, and it appears both parents' names are already on it. It's a Bell County one. And for that reason, Your Honor, the state would ask that this order have Mr. Hardy paying child and medical support based on the mother having the child on government medical, and Mr. Hardy having only one source of non-taxable income at this time, no other children, and that all other issues be reserved until further or final hearing after results of Mr. Hardy's test are back, if the court does grant his request for testing in this case.
All right, folks, let's get some data. Let's find out what's going on here and why this is going the way it's going. Anyway, so at this time, Ms. Mayfield, Mr. Hardy, both of them mute yourself and raise your right hands, please. Other hand, ma'am, thank you. Did both of you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're going to give here today is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you?
Yes.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, you're both officially under oath. I'll allow the state to go ahead and call you as witnesses. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor. The state calls Mercedes Mayfield. Ma'am, what is your full name?
Mercedes Nicole Mayfield.
Who is the child in this case?
Nyla Renee Hardy.
How are you related to Nyla?
That is my daughter.
And ma'am, who is Nyla's father?
Ricarius Hardy.
And ma'am, is it correct that you and Mr. Hardy have never been married?
Correct.
And that you personally have never been married either?
I have.
And were you married at the time your daughter was conceived?
No.
Is there any other person, ma'am, besides Mr. Hardy who could be Nyla's father?
No, ma'am.
And how is it, ma'am, that you were able to provide me a birth certificate from Bell County with Mr. Hardy's name on it for Nyla?
We gave birth to our Darnell. He filled out the paperwork, and I received the birth certificate at the annex here in Killeen, Texas.
And what was required for Mr. Hardy to be put on the birth certificate, since you two are not married to each other?
His state ID. They asked him if he wanted a paternity test. He waived that. And then paperwork that we filled out.
And ma'am, has there ever been any other person who could have told?
I can't hear. I'm sorry, I can't hear.
We're
Hello?
going to pause for judge to return.
Okay. Ma'am, my volume is really low and it's hard of hearing as well.
And ma'am, feel free to just put the phone to your ear so you can hear us. We don't necessarily need to see you.
Okay, thank you.
A few minutes later.
All right, hopefully the internet will stay for a while, but hey, there's no guarantee. Sorry about that. Anyway, we're back on the record on 319-292, Hardy and Mayfield. And I'll let the state go ahead and proceed this time. I think you finished your opening statement, but if you did, Ms. Bonga, go ahead, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor. So the state had finished its opening statement and had called Ms. Mayfield as a witness and had gotten some testimony as to how Mr. Hardy's name appears on the birth certificate.
Right. Okay. Anyway, I'll let you proceed along that line. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Mayfield, would you please unmute yourself?
Unmuted.
Thank you, ma'am. So after that birth certificate was provided to you and that you provided to us today, you were aware of the order for parentage testing that Judge mentioned when in his review of the file?
Correct.
And you and Nyla both got tested, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And to your knowledge, Mr. Hardy hadn't gone to his appointments to date, correct?
Correct. And he was indeed in Florida, but I was aware that Child Support, the general, knew that he had moved because they told me he had got in contact with him. So I'm not understanding that part.
And so, ma'am, as far as his request, as I've presented it, he wants to get DNA tested. You don't necessarily have a problem with him doing that. Is that correct?
I do. Okay. It will be the fifth time for he's asked for DNA tests through the court and outside, out of pocket fees.
And
so Ms. Mavis, ma'am. I've already ordered the DNA testing, and the test results we got back here were sent for the missed appointments, all in Savannah, Georgia. So obviously somebody may have known he was in Florida, but they didn't tell the other guys. Okay.
Oh.
So obviously, if they didn't say anything about Florida, but all three of these are in Savannah, and obviously he couldn't do those, ma'am. So I'm probably looking at going ahead and following through with my order, but I'm going to go ahead and see whether or not I'm going to make a temporary order at this time, order some temporary child support until we get this done. Thank you.
And Ms. Mayfield, having heard that, were you in agreement with the state's request that at least a temporary order be done today?
Yes.
How does Nyla have health coverage?
Medicaid.
And you're going to continue that while the state asks that Mr. Hardy pay cash medical support?
Yes.
And ma'am, as far as Mr. Hardy's income, are you aware of what sources he may have?
Just VA that I know.
How long ago were you given that information, or did he tell you himself?
He told me himself.
How long ago was that?
Couple months, almost maybe 9 months ago.
Okay. And based on information that I have, ma'am, you have no problem with the state's calculation for guideline support of $478 as child support and $112 as cash medical support?
Okay. I didn't know. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And that's based, ma'am, on the non-taxable income I mentioned in my opening statement and Mr. Hardy not having any other minor children besides Nyla.
Oh, okay. Yes, ma'am.
And so for current support, ma'am, both of those would start July 1st if the court was inclined to do such. And then everything else the state had pled for as far as retroactive support, visitation, conservatorship, etc., would be reserved for final hearing depending on what the judge does today, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Was there anything else, Ms. Mayfield, you wanted the court to consider at this time?
No, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Your Honor, I pass this witness.
All right, be back in just a moment, ma'am. Call your next witness, please. I'm still having trouble, so again, I'll try to get back as soon as I can. Thank you.
Yes, Your Honor. The state calls Mr. Hardy. Sir, what is your full name?
Ricarius Hardy, ma'am.
And sir, would you agree that you are the person named on Nyla's birth certificate?
Yes, ma'am.
And earlier, were you able to hear my opening statement to the court regarding the past DNA testing orders, the birth certificate today, and then what the state was wanting to do?
Yes, ma'am. I'm aware of what was put out.
Okay. Were you able to hear Miss Mayfield's testimony?
Yes, ma'am. I was able to hear that.
Was there anything specifically, sir, that you disagreed with that the court needs to know about?
There are a few things that I would like to bring to the court attention. During Nyla's conception, Miss Mayfield, she was married. I asked her because she brought it to my attention that she was pregnant. I asked her, was the child mine? She denied it and said no. And at that particular time period, Miss Mayfield had other intimacy partners at the time period. And so, but I still try to like be there for her because she didn't know exactly who was the child's father. But me and another alleged guy, we talked to each other, and it was either me or him, based off of like the time period. And so he told me that he spoke with Miss Mayfield.
So stop. Here's the deal, sir. Do not testify to something someone else told you. You can only testify to what the mother's told you or what you actually were an eyewitness to with the mom. You cannot give me hearsay evidence that somebody's not here and they'd be able to be cross-examined. So don't testify anything else someone else said. Thank you.
Absolutely. Well, to further talk about that issue, Nyla's mom, Mercedes, she told me out her own mouth.
Man, sir. No, don't tell something someone else said, not even her mother. You can only testify to what Miss Mayfield has said. All right. Thank you.
That's right. That's what I just said. Miss Mayfield, Mercedes Mayfield.
Okay, you said okay, Nyla's mother told you something. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I misunderstood. I thought you were talking about Miss Mayfield's mother. Thank you.
No, but Nyla's mom, Miss Mayfield, she told me that Nyla was not my daughter. And so I didn't fuck. Was the beginning of like her being pregnant. She said I was not the father.
Okay, stop for a second, sir. Stop. You saying she told you this before she had the baby, and yet you went ahead and did the necessary paperwork to placed on the baby's birth certificate. Is that correct, sir?
Negative, sir. What happened was when for me to be on the birth certificate, we went to the place to get the birth certificate, and I sat in the car. And Nyla's mom, Miss Mayfield, she went in there by herself. She came back out and she told me, she was like, hey, they need you to like sign this or whatever. And I was like, sign what? You know, and she was like, sign this paperwork or whatever. So I just signed it. At the time period, I didn't know exactly, you know, what was going on, you know, and I blame like myself for that, not knowing what's going on, but I did not waive my right to a paternity test or whatever that was strictly, you know,
sir, I'm going to order a paternity test. I've already ordered that, and I'm going to go ahead and go through with that. But I'm trying to figure out a reason why I should not, since you went ahead and signed that paperwork, it's on you, all right? Why I should not go ahead and do a temporary order you to pay temporary child support, sir?
Well, Your Honor, I have no problem like taking care of Nyla. I've been like supporting Miss Mayfield.
Okay, sir. I asked you a question about, do you have a legal reason why I should not order you to pay temporary child support based on the fact that you did sign the paperwork that allowed the state of Texas to list you as the child's father on the child's birth certificate?
You said, do I have a legal reason?
Yes, sir. You're your own lawyer here, and you gotta give me a legal reason. We don't get to shoot from the hip here. Everything has to be in conformity with the law. What's your legal reason, sir?
My legal reason, sir, is that I'm not, there's no paperwork, like, as far as in paternity says, saying that I'm the father.
Sir, right here, it's not in evidence at this point, but it's going to be, is a birth certificate from the Bureau of Biostatistics of the state of Texas that lists you as the father. Understand? You understand that, correct?
Correct, I understand that.
All right, sir. Technically, under the law, this is sufficient for me to name you the father. You did what you did. I'm going to go ahead and order the DNA test, and we can confirm that one way or the other. But is there a legal reason that this should not come into evidence, and this should not be used to show, at least at this point, show what your paternity is?
Sir, like I stated earlier, Miss Mayfield, she brought up some paperwork out or whatever, and I signed it. I don't know if I signed like the birth certificate or what I signed. So that's the only information that I can give you as far as in that birth certificate you holding.
Okay, thank you, sir. The state may proceed with questioning. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor. And so, Mr. Hardy, that document that the court held up to you, is today the first time you've seen that?
That birth certificate, no, Miss Mayfield, she sent me over a copy for some legal matters that I had to take care of when I was in the military.
And so, sir, aside from that and your statement that you're willing to take care of Nyla, you already have a relationship with her in that she knows who you are, correct?
She knows who I am, ma'am. Correct.
And then, sir, as far as the DNA testing that you're wanting done and the court will likely order, it's just to confirm everything?
It's not to confirm, it's to determine. Because Miss Mayfield did another DNA test with another alleged father.
Sir, here's the deal. You're testifying. Okay. All right. Here's the deal, sir. If you have a copy of another DNA test that went through the proper procedures as far as evidence is concerned, you can present that. But if you're going to testify to a document that you do not have possession of and you do not know the chain of custody of, you cannot testify to that, sir. I know you're not a lawyer, sir, but this is a court of law, and those are the rules. So, do you have a copy of another birth certificate? So, another DNA test that meets that criteria that shows that someone else is the father, sir?
No, sir. I don't have a copy of any of that.
Okay, thank you.
And Mr. Hardy, as far as the information I provided to the court through Ms. Mayfield's testimony about child support and medical support amounts, you would agree, sir, that you did provide the amount of income you have currently to me, correct?
I didn't confirm any amount to you. I confirmed a percentage to you, but I didn't confirm any amounts.
And that percentage, sir, was for a VA disability rating, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And what is your rating?
My rating is 90%.
And do you claim any dependents or a spouse?
No, ma'am.
And how long, sir, have you been 90%?
Since beginning of 2022.
And at this time, sir, is the VA award your only source of income?
Right now, ma'am, yes.
And do you know what exact amount you receive per month?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
What is that, please?
That amount, let me pull up the correct payment. The payment is $24.28, so $2,428.
And then, sir, do you have any source of health coverage for Nyla at this time?
I don't, ma'am. I don't, not at this time.
And for that reason, sir, you understand that's why the state is asking you to pay a cash medical support amount based on what Nyla currently has?
No, ma'am, I don't understand that because I haven't had any contact with Nyla or Nyla's mom for the last year. So I was unaware of what Nyla needed or what she didn't need.
But either way, sir, you do not have anything for your daughter at this time.
For my alleged daughter, I don't.
Okay. And so, sir, based on the $24.28 you just said, I've calculated cash medical support would be $109. That's 4.5% of your income, and that's the rate that this court uses. Do you have any problem with that?
What did you just say, ma'am? My bad.
Your $2,428 per month that you get, I multiplied that by 4.5% to get 109. Any problem with that?
And that is for medical?
Yes, sir.
I have no problem with that, ma'am.
Okay. And based on that, sir, The remaining net resources is $2,319. I'm multiplying that by 20% or dividing in by 5 and getting $463.80 or 64. Any issues with that number?
Yes, ma'am. Being that the VA is right now like my only source of income, I won't be able to pay rent paying that amount.
What amount then, sir, are you asking this court to order?
Well, at this time period, I'm not asking for the amount because I don't know if Nyla is like my child, so I can't, I feel like we can't like come back to that because I don't know.
Okay, sir, moving on from the financial, you'd said you haven't had any contact with Nyla or Miss Mayfield for a while. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And so, sir, are you saying you had wanted that contact with Nyla?
I did want to at least video call her or get her for like the summer or spend time with her for like her birthday. I did want to do that, but I wasn't able to because I couldn't reach out to Nyla's mom.
And this was all despite you needing to know, sir, whether she is or isn't yours?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. Your Honor, I pass this witness.
All right. Any other questions of Ms. Mayfield at this time, Ms. Bongat?
Briefly, Your Honor.
Go right ahead.
Ms. Mayfield, were you able to hear Mr. Hardy's testimony?
Yes, ma'am.
First question, ma'am, is with regard to the new child support amount and child and medical support. Any problem with those two numbers?
No, ma'am.
And then, ma'am, with regard to how Mr. Hardy's name got onto the birth certificate, what, if anything, needs to be corrected?
Nothing. Oh, you mean like his statement, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am. You were able to tell your side. He's told his, and I saw an expression. I wanted to make sure you didn't have anything to tell the court.
Yes. So we're all grown. I'm pretty sure everybody might have a kid. So at the hospital, there is a protocol that they have to follow with documentation showing your ID. And they do ask you, do you want to do the paternity test? You do have to sign the paperwork to get the birth certificate and the information at the hospital before you leave. I never went anywhere to tell him to sign anything. I did go get the birth certificate. I also got him a copy, $22 to $26. So that statement he provided was false information. If I have to go to the hospital of Darnell and get that, if they have the record where he signed it up in the room, I will. Other than that, and also the contact, he has been reaching out to me. The last contact we had was, I stated before, was on TikTok. And it has not been a year. It's been a couple of months. January 26th was the last form of contact before he contacted me on TikTok. And that was regarding, of course, a domestic dispute with CPS. He called CPS to me. So there has been contact. It has not been a year. He just chooses when it's convenient for him to reach out. So that's it, ma'am.
And then, ma'am, with regard to the marriage you had testified to, have you been divorced?
Yes, I was divorced. And I was divorced before I had my daughter.
Okay. Anything else you wanted to add, Ms. Mayfield?
No, ma'am, that's it.
Thank you, ma'am. Your Honor, I pass this witness.
All right, ma'am. Which county were you divorced in?
California.
Okay. And you're still in Texas at this time, is that correct, ma'am?
Correct. Yes, Your Honor.
All right. And Mr. Hardy's the one that moved away, is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. And that's after you got in the military?
He had PCS to Georgia, and I believe he got out in Georgia.
Okay.
He stayed there for about a couple of years. He came to Texas for about a month, and then he left back to Georgia.
Okay. And so when's the last time you seen the child in a live circumstance, ma'am?
Almost 2 years.
All right. And how old is she now?
She's 6 going on 7, Your Honor.
Okay. All right. Anything else about the witness at this time, Ms. Bongat?
No, Your Honor.
All right, folks, this is State's Exhibit number 2. This is the birth certificate, copy of the birth certificate in this case. Is there any legal reason this should not come into evidence, Ms. Mayfield? And I'm sorry, let me raise it. I'm sorry, let me turn back on my video. I turned it off to help with my bandwidth. But is there any reason this should not come into evidence, ma'am, the birth certificate?
No, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Hardy, is there a legal reason this should not come into evidence at this time, sir? You're muted, sir.
You hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Is there a legal reason that this should not come into evidence at this time, Mr. Hardy?
No, sir.
All right, stage 2 is admitted. Just a second, I want to take a review and I'll let the state proceed. Are there any other witnesses you wish to call at this time, Ms. Von Gatt?
No, Your Honor.
All right, just a second, really.
A little longer than a few minutes later.
All right, any other witnesses or any closing statement at this time, Ms. Von Gatt?
No other witnesses, Your Honor, and the state's only re-urging its opening that the court make appropriate rulings at most a temporary order.
All right, then, Ms. Mayfield, anything else you think I need to know? You're muted, ma'am.
Sorry, Your Honor. No, Your Honor, that's pretty much it.
Mr. Hardy, anything else, sir?
Yes, sir. I would like for you guys to if it pleases like the court with this matter, Miss Mayfield, she was married during the time period of Nyla's conception, and she told me that the guy she was married to or whatever was the father, so he should like be either like brought as a witness stating that, or we'd like look further into like the situation before we put like a temporary order for child support from myself, because like I stated, during the time period that she conceived Nyla, she was married during that time period.
Here's a problem I'm having, Mr. Hardy. It is highly, highly inappropriate and not done that someone would accept a documentation from someone who's not there to say that they're the father. We don't let paperwork go outside and come back in with somebody else's signature. So that just doesn't happen. The other thing is, I'm going to ask Ms. Mayfield. Ms. Mayfield, when were you divorced, ma'am?
December 2016.
I'm sorry?
December 2016, Your Honor.
December 2. And what was the baby's birthday?
July 23rd, 2017.
Okay, then. All right, then. What I'm going to go ahead and do then is I'm going to go ahead and first off, I'm going to go ahead and hold the advance or the child support at this time. Ma'am, under Texas law, Dad, your husband was still the presumed father because it was done within the 9 months of conception, ma'am. I forgot the exact number of days, but the exact number of days covers 10 months. If you got divorced within 10 months of your of the child being born, then he's still considered to be a presumed father. But I'm going to go ahead and you know the exact number of days that is again, Ms. Bongat. I can't remember off the top of my head.
Roughly 300, Your Honor.
Yeah. So that's obviously going to be within 300 days. So state may have to do some modification of their pleadings, but I'm going to go ahead and I've already ordered the DNA testing. I'm going to hold advance the order of child support. Here's the deal, sir. I'm going to go ahead and do the DNA test. You take the DNA test. If you do not take the DNA test, then the presumption is that you're the father because you did not, and you were just trying to hide it because you didn't take the DNA test. When we come back, if the DNA test becomes positive, sir, I'm going to order you to have ready to pay for child support that first month, at least 2 months of child support because of the delay. Because, sir, somehow you got this paperwork was done and you're on the Texas birth certificate. There's some technicalities that are in this matter that require the court to go ahead and do what I'm doing. But when we come back, it's up to my sole discretion, sir, to order child support and ordering an amount. I understand that 20% of your funds is going to put a kink in your armor. 20% of my money coming out each month will put a kink in my armor. But the bottom line is that's the amount of child support that is necessary. I'm sorry, that's under the law. I should order and be prepared to have that entire amount ordered, sir, unless you can give a legal reason for me to do something different. And again, like I said in the morning, like I said this morning, and I'll change law schools on you. You have to present information just as if you were someone who graduated from Texas A&M Law School. It is what it is. This is a court of law, and I can only deal with legal matters, and I can only deal with legal arguments. So if you don't have a legal argument, it's going to be the entire amount. And technically, I think the state planned for retro, so but I'll take that up when it comes to the final hearing. You could be ordered to pay if you're the father, you could be ordered to pay up to 4 years of back child support, sir, based on the date of service. So this is the coming. So if you might want to talk to your own legal rep in Texas, but it's coming down the pipe. So here's the deal, sir. Again, I'm going to order the DNA test. Again, under Texas law, if you do not show up this time to take the DNA test on those dates provided, then the presumption under Texas law is the reason you didn't show up was because you knew what the results were going to be, and I'm supposed to order it and find that you are the father. So, sir, take the DNA test. Don't play around with this one. So at this time, Ms. Bongat, again, based on the circumstances and the state, I'll let you talk among your Ms. Hubbard and everyone to see what y'all might want to do as far as the pleadings is concerned on this one, since looks like mom did have this child within 300 days of her divorce. Ma'am, if you got a divorce decree that shows the exact day of divorce in California, you need to get a copy of that to the state so they can make a determination how they want to handle those pleadings, okay?
Yes, Josh.
All right. Anyway, folks, I'm gonna go ahead and order DNA test. We're gonna come back in a couple of months, and at least no matter what the pleadings are, at least I can go forward with another temporary order on that date, and we can finalize this at a later time. So, how far out you thinking about looking at doing this? As we're dealing with an out-of-stater, Ms. Bongat? September? Or
Yes,
August?
Your Honor, just in case, well, I was looking at mid to late August, just in case. That way we'll have results and potentially amended pleading served out.
Okay, let's go. We'll go with late August, and let's pick. Do I have anything? Let's see what I've set up for late August already.
Looks like the 29th is available, Your Honor.
All right, let's go ahead and do the 29th of August. That way we can start. If he comes back positive, we can start something the first day of September. All right.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Hardy. There's a lot of moving parts here. Again, sir, if you think you don't understand everything, you think you need to get some legal advice, please do so. But talk to a Texas lawyer who does family law and get your data. All right.
Absolutely, sir.
All right, everybody. This matter has been reset to August 29th. I'm ordering the DNA test to proceed, and it'll be set up in Florida for you, sir. So make sure you show up and get this done, and we will see everybody back on August 29th, and I'll see what the results will be, and at that time, I'll make either at least further temporary orders based on the results of the DNA test. May the parties be excused, Ms. Bongat.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, thank you both very much, and we're off the record.